And then I heard somewhere else along the line that your thoughts become your words become your actions become your future. But I have always believed that if we are made in God's image, there is a fucking power in our words. You can speak shit into existence.
I've been together for over 8 years now and been engaged for about 5. We are not married and really haven't talked about getting married since we got engaged.
So you're not getting married. Your relationship's over.
Okay.
I think that is a huge indicator that you guys are so far off that like you either need to fix this or just call it quits.
You have a dryer sheet in your hoodie.
Do I really?
Yeah, in the hood.
Ladies and gentlemen, proof that we do laundry. If all of you have been watching this whole time going, he's got a dryer sheet in his hoodie.
Gotcha.
Ding. It only And we are back.
We are back, bumblebees.
Season 2, episode 4.
Already.
This puts us almost to the end of January.
Wow.
Yep, we have, I think episode 5 would put us at the very end of January. Actually, this might do it. I don't know. Whenever this is, we are recording this before Christmas.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
We normally give you guys a whole lot of banter back and forth in like 30 to 40 minutes of us just bullshitting. But I don't want to do that today. Today, I just want to get into some emails, get it done because we have a lot going on. So this might be a shorter episode. I would still like to get it over an hour, but no promises.
What do we have going on?
Well, I have a lot of like scheduling and I have to wipe that computer.
Gotcha.
There's a lot. I have a lot to do today. I need to go fill shirt orders because we got a shit ton of shirt orders that came in. Well, not a shit ton, but.
Okay, depending on what time we end, I might be able to help you with that.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing is I get to knit today.
Yeah.
I need to finish your blanket.
Yeah. Well, it's 10:45, so if we're done by noon 30, we can go fill those shirt orders, and you can grab your knitting bag because I'm pretty sure that's at the studio.
I'm almost certain it's at the studio too. Yeah. Just want to get into it.
Yeah.
All right. Keeping family connected despite the other parent. Good evening, Chris and Peaches. I first want to write this email to just say thank you for the podcast, the interaction with people, and the blunt honesty that you provide. I've been listening to the podcast for about a month now, and I'm still new to the podcast. However, I want to let you know that this podcast has been a blessing to my fiance and I in our relationship.
Love that.
Hearing that makes all of it worth it.
Yeah, so I said we weren't going to do a whole bunch of back and forth, but I had
to. Okay.
Now we're going to because of what you just
Buckle
said.
up, bitches.
Sean and I had a long, okay, so just to catch everybody up, because by the time you see this, I'm sure it'll be known. Joe has moved back to Ohio. My cousin has left. He's gone back to
his life.
And it sucks and it breaks my heart. I'm going to miss him, but I am so fucking stoked that he's putting things back together for himself. And I'm very much looking forward to the growth that him and his woman have as they repair things and move forward.
Me too.
But that led to a lot of self-discovery in myself because it would have been very easy for me as a person to be like, I did X, Y, Z 10 times. I did this. I did that. I can't believe he left. How dare him?
Right.
He's doing me dirty. Blah, 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 blah. Right. And that was never a thought. Not once. Not once was I like, how dare you take that and go? Like, I can't believe you made me waste all this money and all this time on you. Like, that was never even a feeling. Mm-hmm. And I've been processing a lot of emotions over the last 24 hours about all this. And really what it comes down to is I chose to do things for him to make his life better. Mm-hmm. And he got to enjoy it while he was here. And now he's going on to like better his life and be happy. And no matter how I feel about my selfishness and wanting him here, I want him to be happy. Right. So this falls into the stories episode, which is on our Patreon with really bad audio because I forgot to transfer the audio file.
It happens.
More than it should. But I don't want to throw away that episode because it was really good and I don't want to try to recreate it. So,
it was good. So
it is on Patreon. The audio's trash. I may put it on YouTube just as a bonus episode because the audio's trash. But there was a lot of revelations in that for me, and that the victim and villain stories that everybody tells themselves, and everyone that I know, minus like 5 people, live in that victim villain mindset.
And it's a back and forth.
It's constant. And instead of making me a victim, how could he do this to me? And he's the villain because of blah, blah, blah. There's none of that.
Right.
It's good for you, bro. Like, I'm glad that you're fixing your life. Like, go do your thing and go do what makes you happy. So the reason that I even brought that up is because today while I was in the gym talking to Sean and I had the conversation about crucial conversations, that book, Victim, Villain, and Helpless Stories.
Right.
And how those stories are instantaneous. And then we started talking about the emotional, adult children of emotional parents.
Immature parents.
Immature parent. I don't know why I can't remember that fucking book name. It's so much.
Adult children of emotionally immature parents.
That. Yeah. So then we started talking about that. And then we started talking about your water thing.
Okay.
Right. And I tied it all together for Sean. And he was like, he stood up and deep breathed.
It's a lot.
And he's like, dude, I never put any of that together. I'm like, right. And how many people do we know that are still, and then I tied it into the millionaire thought, right? And I was like, how many people do we know that we knew when they were 15 years old, and we're in our 30s, like they were somebody's kids, and then we see them and they're 25. And in our head, they're still 15. They will always be the embodiment of that person until we see them again and realize, oh shit, they've grown up.
Right.
Or you were a millionaire when I knew you and now you're broke, but in my head, you're still a millionaire because I haven't seen you in 3 years. And like, right. So that's a story that we tell ourselves. So I had all of that laid out and it dawned on me that like, I don't do that anymore.
The villain, victim.
At all.
Me either.
And it was a huge revelation because it's very easy to get into how dare them do this.
I can't believe they would do it after everything I've done for
right.
them.
But it's not about you because people have their own life that they have to live. And when you do the victim mentality and you villainize that person, you are giving yourself main character syndrome.
Yeah.
Hard, right? So
and that's a very narcissistic thing to do.
It is. This was the conversation with Sean this morning. And Jim, we barely worked out today. We fucking ran our mouth the entire time.
No, you worked your brains.
We did. Yeah.
It's a different thing.
We did. Yeah. We still lifted, but it wasn't as intense as normal because we were talking a lot.
Right.
A lot of revelations. But like I realized I had my cousin not come down here and not went back to Ohio and I would not have experienced that time frame with him. I don't think I would have recognized that growth. And I also think that I still would have held on to a little bit of that because there are people in my past when I look back on them, I can't believe they did that to me. They didn't do it to me. They did it for them. And it hurt me because of my attachment to them.
Right, because of your emotional involvement.
Right, or because of the business or whatever the case is. If people are genuinely out to get you, that's a them problem, right? Like it sucks that they're out to get you, but there's nothing you can do about that other than continue to live your life. But you holding on to, there's a gnat in here, but you holding on to that, they're the villain in your story thing, by definition is making you a victim.
Yeah.
And if you just let that go, they can be angry all they want and you're at peace.
And they're angry about the stories that they tell themselves.
About us or about whoever.
Whatever it is, right. There's very little facts when people are in their feelings.
Right.
I read this yesterday. Stop expecting honesty from people who lie to themselves.
Yep. So that led into the water conversation, right? And for those of you who are not part of our Patreon, that water conversation, you might even have put that on TikTok.
I did put that on TikTok, yeah.
So the water study said that we're, I don't know, whatever percentage of water we are, 72% or 85%.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah. I don't,
So the human body is composed of 85% water.
Okay.
And the brain is composed of even more than that. And I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he is Japanese and he's a scientist and he did an experiment where he had 2 bottles of water, same exact water. One bottle of water he would say very loving things to, and the other one he would say very hateful things to. And then he put the water in a petri dish, 2 separate ones, froze it, and then looked at the water underneath a microscope. The one that he spoke very loving things to was beautiful, like snowflakes and crystallized patterns, like it was just gorgeous. And the other one that he said very hateful things to, like you could tell that water has been through it. Yeah. It was just like malformations and goops of balls of frozen water. And that proves that what we say, our words have power, and it also shows that water has memory.
Right. So we are vibrations.
We are.
That's physics, right? So of course the things that we say is going to reverberate back to us, and we're going to live in that vibration. That water is going to have that memory. That guy also did that study with music, hateful music versus loving classical music, that kind of shit.
And how it affects the brain.
Right. And it also has had the same study done with plants, and it affects plants the same way. So we now know that that's a thing. So for all of the people who live in that, and this goes to all of you who are living in that depressive
echo chamber.
I wake up every morning and I look in the mirror and I hate the way I look, and you start talking shit about yourself. Like,
or my life is so bad because of this one person that they did 5 years ago.
Right. Or even to yourself. Like, I'm not worth this. Like, I don't want to live another day. Like, all of that. You are putting that vibration back into your body. The water in your body remembers that, and you are going to start living that over and over and over again, because that's what you tell yourself. And that leaves you in a vulnerable, weakened, depressive state over and over and over again. You are regurgitating that, or repeating that cycle.
Right. And it makes you susceptible to that same energy coming back in.
Right. And then when you grow in any way, shape, or form, and you start seeing the fall off of the people in your life, because everybody that's a part of this podcast, and I don't mean a part of the show, I mean like the people on our Discord and the people on Patreon and the people who've been sharing this and who have been making their marriage better, you start to see a fall off of the people in your life. People start dropping like flies because you're evolving.
Or people might start talking shit about you.
Right. Well, yes. But in that evolution, you recognize that victim-villain mindset. You recognize their constant depressive behavior and how miserable these fucking people are all the time. And it's very hard to surround yourself with people who are constantly in that mind state when you're happy, because that reverberation in the water in your body, if that's actually the way we're talking about this, I think that it affects us on a mental level a lot more. But they bring you down, and you end up finding yourself right back into that same victim cycle where everybody's around like crabs in a bucket, bashing each other, not allowing anyone to get ahead, and hating people for whatever the reason is that they hate each other. So Sean and I were in the gym talking about all that this morning, and then had the realization about everything that I just laid out. And I realized that I don't harbor anything bad against anyone anymore, ever.
Me either,
like,
yeah.
We started talking about, like, I actually gave him examples that I'm not willing to give on the podcast, but I don't feel any type of anything about them anymore. Like, I feel, I mean, I guess I do. That's a lie. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, there's a sadness. It's almost like a heartbreak, like, because you don't see them for their wrongdoings anymore. You can see the soul that's hurting behind all of it. Yeah.
They're suffering.
You can see the soul that's just damaged and lashing out. It's like a beaten dog.
Yeah. Misery loves company.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I got.
Okay, well, I'm going to pick it up. So when we think of a body of water, right? If a body of water is not disturbed, it's not going to move. When you drop a single petal into a body of water, it is going to ripple and ripple and ripple and ripple. And it might hit a wall and then rebound.
Right.
That's exactly what your words are doing inside of your body. Yep. Also, onto the victim and villain stories that we tell ourselves. I had a conversation recently where I was trying to express emotions, and I was taking accountability, and I was apologizing for things, and I was laying out, these are the reasons that I am having a hard time with you. And that person hit me with, stop being a bitch. Instantaneously, they read all of my honesty, my accountability, and my attempt to communicate as being a bitch. And then that made me wonder, I should have asked, what do you mean? Like, define that for me. What is a bitch to you? Because everybody has a different definition for every single word. So if somebody in your life views you as being honest and truthful and trying to correct or wrong as you being a bitch, that's really right there, the villain mindset in somebody.
Yeah, that speaks on a whole different level of manipulation in terms of societal manipulation, because we've become so frail that we can't have conversations anymore, and people don't want honesty. They want,
especially about their actions,
about anything. They want that echo chamber, and like they want everyone to agree with them to make them feel like they're right. And like, you're not going to grow in that. You will never grow in an echo chamber. You will actually regress. You will regress in an echo chamber.
Your intelligence will either stay stagnant or decline.
It will decline. Yep. That's a whole long, very long conversation.
Yeah.
That I definitely don't want to get into all of that right now. Everything that you said is absolutely correct in that. However, there's so much more to that than just the surface level, because that is learned behavior, and it's constantly being fed to us. And I've noticed that every single time I come back to the internet, everyone that I know that has been in an echo chamber is still there.
Oh yeah, still 100%.
And the more I have removed myself from the internet, the more I am free thinking and trying to figure things out and like processing my own thoughts and opinions, right? Like I don't TikTok at all anymore. Like I don't scroll. Every once in a while I'll get on there and like mindlessly scroll to people that I know.
Yeah.
Or I'll look at the shit that you send me, or Zach sends me, or Dakota. But I don't actively get engaged in that shit because I don't want things thinking for me.
Right.
Ironically enough, a lot of that has changed. Some of it's actually changed my politics a little bit. Like I'm still hardcore libertarian and want that freedom, but like there has always been people that like I have been like, I like your politics. I don't like you. I like your politics. And now I'm not even liking the politics of people. Like so anyways, I'm growing there too. And like my relationships are changing. The relationships, because I'm not online, my relationships are more genuine.
In depth.
Right. They're in depth. They're genuine. Like I'm not just catching up with you on social media.
Right.
Like I don't see what's going on in your life on Facebook, so I don't have to talk to you. I actually have to have a conversation with you if I want to know what's going on in your life, or if you want to know what's going on in mine, because I'm not posting my life anymore. Like, so there's a deeper connection that's being had because the superficial bullshit that's being fed to me through an algorithm isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And that algorithm dictates who you see in your friends list too, because the Facebook page that I have is all,
you got it.
All, that was awesome. It didn't,
Mr. Miyagi.
It didn't stick though. Oh, I did get it, because there it is. The curation, the curated algorithm, the curated feed that Facebook is giving me is all adventure bike stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's what's keeping me engaged on social media longer. I see 3 people's content repeatedly on Facebook, and it's always Christian content because I like that content.
Right.
Christian memes, a quote or a Bible scripture or whatever. I don't see any. I see things from my adopted mom. I don't ever see anything from my sister, and I don't see anything from any of my real friends at all.
Yeah.
It's weird. I see adventure stuff, Christian stuff, and like 3 people. So even in that aspect, I'm not getting updates from people, and I find myself being withdrawed, so that when I do see them and I think about them, I have to message them and be like, hey, how's life? Like, we haven't talked in a while.
Yeah.
That's a lot. You're reestablishing roots and a foundation of a friendship in that aspect, versus just knowing like, hey, I saw you moved. Congrats on the new job. Yeah, thanks. There's no sustenance to that.
Right.
There's no intimacy to that. And then I saw something else where it was talking about how intimacy has been diluted and tied solely to sex.
Correct.
So that when you have an intimate conversation with somebody of the same gender, the people around you be like, that's gay. And then they start getting homophobic because like you're having a real moment with somebody that you care about, and people have become so disconnected that they don't recognize that
it's just
authentic
genuine
care and love, and that's normal. And so Sean and I were in the gym having that conversation, and I was like, bro, you realize that the conversations that we have out here is intimacy. Like, I love you, you love me, you're like a brother to me, you're one of my closest friends I've ever had. So when we have these conversations, we fill each other up. When you leave here, we're going to feel good about it. And like he left and I came inside and got back to work, and like I was feeling good. That we need that. We are social creatures by design. We want to be a part of the herd. And if the herd doesn't give a fuck about you and you get shunned, you're going to die. Right? So like there is a instinctual part of that. But I also realized, oh man, this is a lot. We watched Walk the Line last night.
Well, part of it.
Well, we got halfway through.
Yeah.
I've watched that movie a lot because I like Johnny Cash. There was a scene in that movie where June Carter was picking up a fishing pole, and a woman was like, your parents are great, God-fearing Christians or some shit like that. And she was like, thank you, ma'am. I'll make sure to tell them you said that. And she's like, oh, I'm surprised they even speak to you, because she got a divorce. And she's like,
Yeah,
divorce
she was
is
like, what a
abomination.
massive disappointment you are. And
Yeah.
all of these things.
She doesn't know this woman from a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Like, she's somebody who's in the spotlight, and some random ass person is going to run her mouth, and you can verbally see it destroy her character, right? Because it's a show.
Right.
But it destroys the character, and fucking you can see the pain on her face and the embarrassment. She did a really good job in that moment as an actress. And then she sees Johnny Cash, and it livens her right back up. And you know what I took away from that? I took away from that the people that are in your life matter. Right? Johnny Cash in that moment made her happy. He mattered. They weren't together yet. He was obviously in love with her already, but they were just friends at that point.
Well, I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that scene. So she walked away and she was feeling defeated.
Right.
And then she looked at him in the aisle and she was standing there. And then she took a deep breath and you could see her body physically relax. And then she smiled and he was like, what? And she was like, you've been standing there for 10 minutes. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he started being goofy and she walked over there. She chose in that moment to go, this is somebody that's important to me.
Right.
He is what matters to me.
Yep. And it's a real established, genuine relationship. That woman, other than her negative opinion of June Carter, had no skin in the life of June. So having people who don't like you, that are not a active part of your life day to day, that actually matter to you, should not matter to you.
Their thoughts, their opinions, their assumptions,
Right.
all of it.
In that moment, she could have allowed that woman's opinion of her to destroy everything about her, and it could have sent her into depression. And that's what social media is, because you have superficial interactions with friends that you have in common or whatever that you don't really care about.
Right.
You just know each other in passing, but you somehow put a weight on their internet opinions, or whether or not they like your photo, or if they're reacting to your engaging in your shit. Like, none of that matters. So much so, I realized this so much so last night, that what we do is a benefit to people, right?
It is, yeah.
And it feels good to us when we get those emails that are like, hey, you guys are saving marriages. And we allow it to make us feel bad when we get the ones that are like, you guys are idiots. You know what I mean? Like, we don't get many of those. We have gotten a couple, but when people shit talk us on the internet, we allow that to affect us. In reality, we fully know that that's a choice, because we choose to feel good over the good stuff and we choose to feel bad over the bad stuff, when in reality, none of you matter. I hate to say that, because we genuinely want to help everyone. But at the end of the day, when we lay on the couch at night and we're watching a movie and your feet are in my lap and I'm rubbing your feet and we're watching and having
and we're
intimate
disconnected
conversations,
from phones,
none of that matters.
it is you and me sitting in a room together.
Right. When we're making decisions about the kids' future, we're not thinking about Joe Blow on the internet and the hatred that they have. And we're not thinking about Susie Homemaker and her dope fucking marriage that her and her husband have. We're thinking about the future of the kids. Like, these are the things that truly matter. We have become so watered down and diluted because of social media that it's destroyed our ability to properly function in a relationship across the board.
Right.
Not an intimate relationship, but parent-child, brother-sister, cousins,
Right.
friends. All relationships have become watered down and transactional. I have gone through a lot in the last 24 hours.
I can tell. I have also gone through a lot. And, and thinking what you were just talking about, we don't even matter. To the masses of you, we might provide some dope information, and there could be parasocial relationships going on. There's a growth in what we have done. You can see it over the year of the podcast.
Can you explain what a parasocial relationship is?
So a parasocial relationship is when someone they're the viewer of the content, right? They believe that they know who we are, right? We share a lot on the internet. We talk about our emotions and the way we process things and things that have happened to us and how they've affected us and whatnot. Because people know so much about us, they feel like they know us.
Okay, so that's where I was getting. So parasocial relationship is a
one-sided relationship.
We feel connected to you because we relate to you.
No, not just connected.
See all that, like,
there are people out there who would be like, yeah, they're my friend.
Okay.
Like, if we got into a room together, we would be best friends. I know it. They would love everything about me because I love everything about them. And that's how Christina Grimmie lost her life, was a parasocial relationship.
Okay, so then what do they call? Is there a term for the people that feel a connection to you without feeling like you're friends? Like, I don't know how to word that. I guess maybe that's probably exactly how to word it. But like when we were in Vegas and people saw you and came up, oh my God, and started crying, I love you so much. That's them viewing who you are from the internet, and we don't know them. I guess maybe that is parasocial, but there's got to be a different term for it because it doesn't go to that extent.
Okay, let me Google it.
I'm sorry. I'm not downplaying what you're saying. I'm trying to understand and find out if there is a word for what I'm trying to explain.
So parasocial relationships are one-sided relationships where one person extends emotional energy, interest, and time, and the other party, the persona, is completely unaware of the other's existence.
Okay, so that's it. That's the term. That by actual definition, that is it. So people do create parasocial relationships with influencers and movie stars and all of that shit, right? Because we're on their feed constantly, or, we put out a fuck ton of content. So people feel like they have a relationship with us. And in reality, we don't know that they exist.
Right.
We know that they are a number and an analytic, and we are able to track the data of it. We know who watches our content based off of gender, age, income, things like that. But we don't know you as a person unless you're a part of Discord and we've actually talked to you.
Or you've sent in an email. It's still, even though that's a small glimpse.
Right. Well, the email doesn't create a relationship. It gives us something to talk about.
Right.
It's not the same thing because it is still one-sided. So people do feel like they know us. And in that aspect, they put weight on exactly what we were saying you shouldn't be doing.
Okay, well, I'm going to interrupt. I want to clarify. Just because we're in the Discord and we're talking to people doesn't mean that we're friends with everybody in the Discord.
No, but we have an understanding of who they are versus somebody who just sends a random email.
Right. Like, we are able to put names and faces to people.
Right.
But
So
it's
they're
not
not
like
just a
we're
number.
calling up everybody every day.
Yeah.
I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, that's-
If you think getting into the Discord is access to us freely, it's not.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, why are you even going there? Yeah, no, it's not. But it changes the statistic from a number to a screen name. And then maybe from a screen name to an actual name.
Right.
And in some cases, we have built friendships or relationships with some of the people that are there who've been there since January, but it took forever for that to happen, right? And like, they're now employees in some aspects. Like they're, I really don't like calling them employees because I feel like it downgrades what they do. Because some of them are so pivotal to what we have that if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't exist.
They're part of the team.
Yeah, I like that better.
I like that too.
Yeah.
I don't see, for example, like Zach. Zach does a lot behind the scenes. So does Jen.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't view them as employees. I view them as like, y'all are captaining a ship that we can't.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And to be clear, just to talk about how pertinent that is, if it wasn't for Zach, Discord would not exist.
no.
And if it wasn't for Jenny, our podcast probably wouldn't exist because she has done most of the filtering of emails. And if she wasn't doing that, we would have taken on too much and it would have destroyed us emotionally.
Yeah.
And I think that we would have stepped away from this. So like team is probably the most accurate.
I like team.
We couldn't function without the rest of our team. We would lose every time. I don't know. I have I'm still processing. I'm still processing a lot. I have seen, I feel like I have just broken out of a cocoon as pathetic as that sounds of an analogy. I could make it so much cooler. Like I finally came out between that rock and that hard place and shedded my skin, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But that's not what it feels like. It feels like I just cracked open something and I'm crawling out of it. And there's a new life experience
You're going
waiting
through a
for me.
metamorphosis.
Yeah. Yep. And it happened overnight.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
And it happened
The other
because my
day.
cousin left.
Yeah.
There's a beauty in that. Like, I don't know. I'm processing a lot. I cried yesterday a lot. So you left and I had a meltdown because there's nobody here and I got to get it out of my system. When you came home, I was fine.
Yeah.
And it's not because, I mean, fuck it. Maybe it is because I'm a pussy. I needed to process a lot. I was very emotional through all of it. I've been emotional for a couple of days. That trailer that made you cry in the theater. And I was like, are you crying? You're like, shut up. I was like, she didn't see that, you know?
No, I started crying. I looked at you and I was like, that was fucking
Unnecessary.
Unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was a little girl who was dying of something and her dad was trying so hard to keep her alive. And this random woman found their story and she's like, we're going to do this together.
Yeah.
And she was getting bay flighted during a snowstorm and people from the town were shoveling snow. So, oh my gosh. Unnecessary. It's going to be such a good film.
Yeah. That's going to be a cry movie for sure. But it's one that I actually want to see.
Yeah.
So we need to get back to the email. We just killed 30 minutes and we weren't supposed to do that.
Okay.
I am very grateful that this is our life. And I'm grateful that I've got to experience the last year the way that I've got to experience the last year because I'm excited about what's coming because of the last year. Does that make sense? And I can honestly not think of anyone else that I would want to do this with other than you. Like we are at a point now where we could legit get co-hosts and we could have a third or a fourth person in here every week. And you could create your own podcast and have your own little thing going with another woman if that's what you wanted to do, and it would work. We've built enough of a following that like I could start doing spinoffs and do my own thing, and like it doesn't appeal to me.
Why? Because it did. At one point, you were like, this is going to be so dope and we can do all of these things and I can do all of these things. What changed?
I still want to interview people, and I would be okay doing it like a one-on-one thing with somebody every once in a while, but I wouldn't want to swap my co-host. Right? Because we have done this together. And there are real times where I'm like, this is going to be much better if I'm not involved. Run that shit. Make it a garden episode, whatever. Because I know that that's going to create the best amount of content, but I'm still here in everything else.
Right.
So me stepping away from that single episode, or you stepping away from an episode, or doing your garden segment doesn't remove me from the equation. We're still doing this together.
You're there for every episode we record.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no one else that I would rather do this with, because the only time I've ever recorded and you've not been there is with Charles. And that was because it was, I booked it on a Sunday while you had the kids, just because I knew it was going to be a quick thing. I don't know, babe. I guess I'm just showing gratitude. I guess I'm trying to show you gratitude. I'm very grateful that you are a part of my life and that this is where we're at. I feel very blessed. God is good. Just leave it at that. Let's go to the email. Don't cry. I can see it.
I've gotten really good about not crying.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I've gotten my emotions under control. I reel it in. Of course, there are moments where I just can't control it and it just goes.
People like that you cry. I like that you cry. When I say don't cry, it's because I can see it coming and I'm just trying to bless you before you sneeze kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that change that you're going through. Like, that's exactly how I felt, a week ago? Kind of yesterday too, because of all of the information that got dumped on me with the water thing. That messed me up. Like, I took my glasses off. I was sitting on the couch like this. And like I was so medicated. And I was processing, and I looked over and you were just looking at me. And before I could even say anything, you hit me with, "I love you." What else did you say? You said something else. You were like, I'm so unpredictable and it's just fun for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. You're very random with the shit that you do. And the rabbit holes you go down is just unique.
Yeah. That water thing messed me up. You can do that with rice. So you can put rice and water in a jar and do that same thing, speak love and speak hate to it. And you keep it in a dark place and you do that daily. And I have seen people do this experiment with the rice in the jar. It's a physical representation. The rice that you speak love to stays almost pristine. And the one that you speak hate to, it doesn't just mold. You can see it decaying. And there was somebody did a third jar where they just neglected it. Like, it was thrown in the back of the cabinet and forgotten the whole time.
Did it decay too?
It molded.
Okay.
It didn't decay the same way that the one that you spoke hate to did. So I've thought about doing that.
I have said over and over and over again that your thoughts become things, right? That was a Kai Green hoodie at one point.
Yeah.
But it resonated with me. And then I heard somewhere else along the line that your thoughts become your words become your actions become your future. But I have always believed that if we are made in God's image, there is a fucking power in our words. You can speak shit into existence. That "speak it into existence" is a phrase that I've used most of my life. I believe that. And I believe that comes from being made in God's image. And you can believe the religion or not. There is a power in our words. And when you start doing things and the universe is going to like put obstacles in your way and you start overcoming them, they'll go, okay, they're serious about this. This is what they want. And things will start happening for you. But that comes down to like, really, I'm going to do this. And start like not sticking your toe in the water. Dive in head first and fucking get it. Like, I believe that. I believe that with all of my soul. And I don't care if people disagree or think I'm wrong. You can.
That's okay.
Because even if I'm wrong, the worst that's going to happen is I'm wrong and I've created my existence. Right? So like, what if I'm wrong? Who cares? It doesn't change my existence at all because I'm still doing those things.
Right.
So to know that there is power in words and that you can speak negative water, negative rice, and it can do that, there is a power in your words.
Right.
And you can come back to physics like you and Meg were talking about. It is vibrations. Like, yep.
You know, when that whole thing, what you speak into the world actually has effects. The people that hate us, for example, for what we do, you're in that echo chamber. I can't imagine living in a brain. Like daily, the monthly. There are people who watch this podcast who are experiencing it from their own family members, from their own friends, their own circle, where they have something maybe. There are people that are jealous. They just hate seeing them happy, so they talk shit. And I, as somebody who used to be like certified shit talker, like I gossip about everybody. And I knew that people were doing it to me, and it hurt my feelings. Oh my God, why would you do that? Well, because I just did it to Kelly and Kevin.
Yeah. You know the crazy thing in all of that? And this is going to speak to the haters. And I'm going to call you guys fans, because if you hate us and you still watch us, you're a fan. So thank you.
Some of you are more diehard on us than the actual positive
the
people.
Actual positive, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Some of those people that are a part of that were at one point part of the positive aspect, and they saw the life changes from people, and they chose to go back to that negativity. It's a choice.
It is.
And like, I don't want to call people out, but one of them actually came back and apologized and was like, look, I don't want to be a part of all of that. She caught her own regression. And I respect the fuck out of that.
Me
and
too.
I straight up was like, no hate. Like,
Right. Like,
I love that you just found that growth and you did it on your own. We weren't a part of that.
yeah.
But I know that there are people that are a part of all of this, that are a part of that group that hates us the way that they do. That saw the benefits of all the knowledge that we've gained. And it's no different than the people who are like, I would never take advice from you. Look at the way you look. Like, I'd never take advice from somebody with tattoos on their face. I'd never take advice from someone with the past. I want to learn from somebody who has never experienced anything. Give me that ignorance.
Let's try it the first time and
Just
hope it works.
Yeah. I'm grateful. That's really what it comes down to. There's a gratitude in all of this.
Yeah.
I would say you should probably start that email over, because
Okay.
I don't remember what was said.
I first want to write this email to just say thank you for the podcast, the interaction with people, and the blunt honesty that you provide. I've been listening to the podcast for about a month now, so I'm still new to the podcast. However, I want to let you know that this podcast has been a blessing to my fiance and I in our relationship. We spend time listening to the podcast, pausing, having conversations about the situations, and if we were in those shoes. We also react with each other to points that you make in the show. It has opened up many lines of communication with us and sparks conversations that goes deeper than the BS that is online. We have genuine conversations and healthy debates that have strengthened our relationship.
How crazy is that this is the email it's the follow-up of the conversation we just had, right? Okay.
We have also been able to view our shortcomings and issues within our relationship. In many episodes, Chris mentions how people need to heal themselves from past relationships and baggage before bringing that stuff into a new relationship.
Yep.
Which leads me to what I want to get your reaction or opinion on. For context, I have 3 children with my ex-husband, and co-parenting is not an option. We divorced due to abuse, and it was found under law that my ex-husband was not allowed to have contact with myself or our children. We read this.
Yes, we did.
Okay, I found a new one.
All right.
Titled No Subject.
All right. No subject.
Hello. First, I want to say I love listening to y'all. I feel like I've grown as a person listening to your discussions, and you have helped me understand what I want in my partner. If you would like to share a TikTok or a podcast, that's fine. Please just don't use my name. That's how I can tell you're not a very avid listener.
Yeah, because we don't do that.
Because we do not do that. I wanted to get some advice on my relationship. My partner, 34, and I, 31, have been together for over 8 years now, and we've been engaged for about 5. We do not have any kids. We are not married, and really haven't talked about getting married since we got engaged.
So you're not getting married.
Right. That's such a strange concept to me, right? Even if you guys don't want to do the legal route of things, you don't want the government involved in on your things, which I get.
I actually support that.
What? The not getting
no
the
government.
I agree too. Yeah. It's a tax. It is a way for the government to say, if you allow us into your household, you'll get something from us.
Right.
I'm good on that. I don't need something from you.
It's more than that too, though, because in the event of an actual divorce, it's no longer just the two of you working through your shit.
It's the government
It's the
being
government.
involved, and
Like,
they get to dictate what happens in your divorce.
I'm good on that. I don't want the
Right.
government involved in my life in any fashion, period,
Yeah.
let alone a marriage. So I get it. You do get tax breaks though,
Yeah.
and insurance breaks. Like there is benefits for the government to lay the dick down, but I'm good on that. I have become pretty fucking anti-government.
Me too.
And I don't mean that just in terms of the government itself. Like, this is the first election that I've had in my entire life where I haven't picked somebody to like cheerlead. I'm over all of that shit.
Yeah, it's a circus at this point, and I mean it's been a circus, but now they're just
I don't believe it. I don't believe any of it anymore. So
it's all a facade, it's all an illusion.
yeah. Anyways.
So even if there wasn't a conversation of when are we going to the courthouse and signing our name over to daddy government, there should have been a conversation of, okay, so where do we want to go?
Right.
Do we want to have a ceremony? Are we going to invite people, or do we want to go in the desert by ourselves and get married next to a cactus? Like,
Right.
I do believe in marriage that there should be a higher power, like a
I
covenant.
agree.
You guys this isn't just, okay, we're going to live life together. Like, we are doing this for a reason.
Right.
There are going to be a lot of trials and tribulations throughout our life, and we need to make sure that no matter what, we are willing to overcome it together.
Tell me how
5
crazy.
years.
Tell me how crazy it is that your faith alone changed your entire view of marriage.
It did. My first marriage with my ex-husband was not a marriage. It was we cohabited
Right.
and we played house. That was not a marriage. I was not a wife. I was not behaving as a wife. I was a train wreck taking somebody else on the crazy train with me. That was not a marriage. That was a mess.
That's crazy to me. Just more things to think about.
Yeah. Why?
I mean, I don't know how I know that a lot of our content lately has leaned heavy on religion. And I never wanted that. I did
Right.
not want our podcast to be a voice for our faith at all. Like, I'm not trying to force my religion on people. If you are or are not religious, I don't give a shit. My relation with God is mine.
Right. This is who we are now as people. That's the growth.
Right.
And if it's uncomfortable for people, I understand.
Right.
You know, religion and faith is very touchy for some people. There might be trauma involved. I'm not going to be upset if you no longer want to watch us because of that.
Right. But we've had a lot of conversations with people, and like the last month and a half of our life has been a lot.
It has.
And there's been a lot of praying, and like I truly feel like a lot of that has been answered. And it's not just a wham bam, thank you ma'am, God's good. Like there were lessons that had to be learned, and there was conversations that had to be had, but the growth came. And everything that I've been stressing out over and praying about has been fixed. Like, God came through again. Like I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. Like, I'm very at peace with a lot of fucking things right now.
Me too.
So, and I don't even remember why I brought that up, because you asked me to elaborate and I started thinking about other things.
Because my first marriage.
Yeah. Oh, because of the religion thing and
Yeah.
faith.
And you know, that was a government thing too. I had that piece of paper. We signed our names on the dotted line. And still, that piece of paper meant absolutely nothing when our relationship was in shambles and we were screaming at each other and cheating on each other. It is what it is. That's what life was at that time. And that piece of paper did nothing.
Right.
It did nothing for our marriage. I thought you were like processing things about me.
Dude, I've got so much going on in my head. Like,
I mean, are you like viewing me differently?
not even a little bit.
Okay.
You want to really know what I was thinking about?
Yeah.
And I'm going to name him right now. Are you okay with that?
Okay.
I was actually sitting here thinking about how much Brandon has grown in the last year.
Yeah. Just this last year alone.
Right. Well,
yeah.
you want to talk about like exponential growth? The last 3 months, he's a very different person.
Yes.
I don't know, man. I understand that people don't understand loyalty and friendship and like real bonds anymore. But we have watched a lot of people in our life sprout or blossom, if you want to call it that. Like, these motherfuckers are growing. Some of them have found faith. Some of them have refused it, but they have reclaimed who they are as a person.
Yeah.
We know people in our personal lives who are like, I'm a shell. I'm so fucking empty and hollow inside, and I'm miserable and depressed, and I don't want to be like this anymore. And we have a couple conversations, and like they start critiquing themselves. And it's not like a shame or a blame or a judgment on our part. Like they just want to talk to us about it.
Yeah.
And we have the little conversations, and they reevaluate their life, and they start making changes. And you can see it.
Yeah.
We had conversations. I don't like naming people in our personal lives because it makes me uncomfortable. But like we know somebody who's been married for 19 years, their anniversary is Christmas Eve. And their intimacy has been reclaimed in a way that is never been. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of blessings coming from a lot of places right now. And I don't know. There's a whole lot of gratitude. Just a lot of gratitude. My mind is so everywhere right now. I'm having a hard time focusing because it's jumping from thing to thing to thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like the attacks have been beaten.
Yeah. There really is.
And by the attacks, I mean spiritual attacks that we've been under.
Yeah, spiritual ones.
Yeah.
You can call it attacks from the universe if that's how you view things and whatnot. You brought up Brandon and his growth, especially in like the last 3 months, and I did not expect to get emotional at that. I got a little emotional because it's a very beautiful thing to see a human being reclaim themselves and
Yep.
it's nice. I'm still absolutely shocked they've been engaged for 5 years and they have not talked about getting married at all.
Do you think that I really feel like people that do that shit just to placate the situation, right? Like
make her stop talking about it.
Right. Or even because they feel obligated.
Yeah.
Been together for 3 years. It's like that scene in Fight Club where he's in the bathtub. He's like, all right, Dad, I just graduated high school. What do I do now? And he's like, I don't know, son. Go to college. So I went to college. I graduated college and said, okay, Dad, now what? He's like, I don't know. Get married. Have kids. Like, and he's like, and then obviously the alter ego personality is like, we can't have kids.
Yeah.
Like, we're a generation of boys raised by women, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I feel like people who get engaged and don't move forward with the wedding are doing so simply to satiate that want.
Yeah.
Because when there's a promise of something, you're one step closer to it coming into fruition, right? I think that's what it is. I think that there's maybe at one point an intent to get married, but it's clearly not a priority to either one of them after 5 years if they're not. And that, you know what? I got to be honest. I'd rather see them engaged for 5 years and not get married than get married and not be ready or not be right.
Committed. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
You know, marriage doesn't start the day that you get married. Right? The commitment doesn't change.
Nope.
The love for one another doesn't change. I don't know. Like the dating phase has muddied things up so much. There was never boyfriend and girlfriend.
Nope.
There was a courtship, and there was a decision on whether or not we are going to get married or not.
Yeah.
Whether we are the right fit or not. The graduation from we're just talking to, oh, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and now we're fiancés, and now we're married.
Yeah, we're adding a whole lot of unnecessary steps.
Right. The values of marriage have been lost.
I agree.
And it has been brought down just to it's a piece of paper.
Because it's easier to destroy if it's just a piece of paper.
It's easier to set on fire. Yeah, walk away from.
Rip it up. Paper's paper. It's, you know.
Back into the email. We have been having, more often than not, arguments versus just talking. We do live together, but have separate rooms now since December. Oh, wow. So December of last year. Yeah, this is from May. So they've been 1 year of separation if there's not an update on this. Do you want to explore that? Like why couples would start living in separate rooms, especially if they're engaged?
I mean, we can. I have a huge problem with that. I personally think that that's the downfall of your relationship. So, and I understand that there are people that sleep in different rooms for different reasons. Like, if you were a super light sleeper, there's no fucking way you would be able to sleep next to me because I snore like a fucking bear with a chainsaw that's been drinking. Like,
yeah,
I do. I know it because I snore so loud that I wake myself up sometimes.
Yeah. There are times I don't hear it.
Right. Well, because you've gotten used to it. But I'm also one of those people that if you started snoring, I would not sleep. I would be awake all fucking night because the snoring it'd be like a nail on a chalkboard for me. I'm very lucky that you're not a snorer, and you're very lucky that you don't mind mine, right? I'm very lucky in both cases, right?
Yeah.
So in that scenario, if you got up in the middle of the night and went to sleep in the other bedroom because I'm snoring so fucking loud, I get it. But we went to bed together.
Right. I think that would be the move, to have that before bed intimacy and the pillow talk, and then once you nodded off, I would tiptoe away.
Yeah. That's different than going, okay, I'm going to bed, and then going into another room and watching Netflix until 2 a.m. until you finally fall asleep. Like,
Yeah. I think in that instance, I would also expect one of us, to go into the other room, and if you wake up before me, you better come and cuddle me for a little bit. Rub my back and say, wake up, Beauteous Maximus, like... Or I would come into your room and snuggle up against your back and be like, hey, babe, it's 8 o'clock. It's time to wake up.
yeah.
Like, there are still ways to maintain that intimacy even when you have separate rooms.
Right. And this is, so this also goes into people who work 2 different shifts.
Right.
Because if you work days and I work nights, we're not sleeping together, but us still sleeping and sharing that same bed space, your scent is still there.
Right.
My scent would still be there. Like, there's going to be times where we're both off of work and get to sleep in the same bed together. There is still a level of intimacy that is maintained in that.
You have a dryer sheet in your hoodie.
Do I really?
Yeah, in the hood.
Ladies and gentlemen, proof that we do laundry.
Save that.
Good catch.
I want to put it in my car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if all of you have been watching this whole time going, he's got a dryer sheet in his hoodie.
Gotcha.
Ding. It only took an hour. I don't have anything else on that because I lost my train of thought.
Okay. So we gave light sleepers,
Yep.
opposing shifts. Maybe somebody has a medical condition and has to sleep with a machine,
Right.
right? Separate rooms. What are some of the negative instances you could see somebody going, we should have our separate rooms for a little bit? Like,
I honestly don't know what you mean by negative. Because are we talking like an argument or are we talking about life shit?
so right, any excuse. If I came to you and I was like, hey, babe, I want to have a discussion of us having separate bedrooms, what are going to be the things running through your mind?
I would think that our relationship is starting to end
Okay.
because we don't even go to bed separate. So like that would be in our life, that would be a huge fucking thing. There are nights that I'm up until 3 o'clock in the morning on the couch watching TV and you're sleeping next to me with your legs in my lap. We don't go to bed without each other. In our entire relationship, you've gone to bed without me once. And I think it was because of poker.
Yeah, it was.
You know?
Yeah, poker went on until like 1 o'clock in the morning and you finished. I
Right.
think you won that game,
Yeah.
actually.
But I was like, good, just go to bed. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to be sleeping on the couch. There's people here, whatever. But I think I do believe, and I might be wrong, but I do believe that is the only time you've ever gone to bed without me. There have been hundreds of times that you have woken up in the middle of the night and gone to the couch because of the kids.
Yeah.
I don't hold any of that as a bad thing. But, you know, and there was a long time that if I would get up before you, you would get out of bed and come sleep on the couch. So you would continue sleeping because my sleep patterns are fucked.
Yeah.
But I would initially think that something was wrong. And I can't think of a single scenario in our current life that would justify you doing that other than you can't handle my snoring right now. So like that would be the only justified situation.
Right.
Other than that, like that would kill our intimacy. Like the
Right.
thought of that would destroy a huge part of our lives.
I agree. I really can't think of an instance where there's not a compromise.
Right.
Where we still go to bed at the same time.
Right. And I don't mean destroy our intimacy is in sexy time. As we said earlier, intimacy is a lot of things.
Yes.
You laying on my chest and us having conversations about our day, or laying there facing each other giggling, or actually having sexy time. Us not having that time together would be a detriment to our relationship.
Right, because we're going to start spending it maybe talking to other people.
Right, or scrolling TikTok while laying in bed,
TikTok,
watching
yeah.
TV, not spending time invested with each other, not filling each other back up.
Okay, so let's say that the relationship, now we're looking at Tom and Susie, right? For the last 3 years, there's just been a lot of tension, and Tom is over the arguing. He wants to have nights where he can just go to bed and go to sleep. And that's why he's like, Susie, I think we need separate bedrooms.
Their
Like,
relationship's over.
okay.
I think that is a huge indicator that you guys are so far off that like you either need to fix this or just call it quits.
Yeah.
Because that is a huge, I have to put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Okay.
I'm getting so many messages and emails right now. I think that at that point, everything is so far gone and you're just living in denial. I believe that.
Yeah. Living with that hopium.
I don't even think it's hopium. I think, okay, so how about this? How about it's comfort? How about we are financially dependent on each other.
We're roommates.
And I really want to fucking move out, but I can't do that to live on my own. Or I can't afford alimony and child support on my own and be able to support myself. So we're just going to suffer through this and I want to get my own room.
That should be the conversation then.
It should be.
Yeah.
But the relationship's over at that point.
Right.
If you are financially codependent on each other, there needs to be ground rules set. Like if you start dating, I don't want to know about it. Don't bring them in the house. Like this is Switzerland. Nobody's allowed here. This is the neutral zone for everything.
A lot of ground rules in that.
Yeah, and even that, I think that would become so convoluted that it would not work. But I think that's a lot. I don't see a reason for that to happen in a loving relationship.
Okay.
I can't find a single.
Well, the loving relationship, like we talked about earlier, maybe medical conditions or there are people.
Right, being still go to bed together.
Right. I was about to go off into like in a super extreme circumstance, but that's not the vast majority of the population. That is a extenuating circumstance. Extenuating. I was right. Okay. Back into the email. We have always done 50-50 on our bills we have together and our own bills we pay ourselves. Example, car, credit card, and loans. We have been at the roommate stage of the relationship for 3 years now, but now it is really this way with us having separate rooms. This past November, he quit his job and started doing side jobs with a friend working on cars. So this is November of
last year,
2022.
Yep.
I have had a full-time job that I work Monday through Friday. I do all of our household jobs and some yard work, which I was raised this way. The woman of the house cooks, cleans, laundry, and does anything that needs to be done around the home. He used to take the trash out and do yard work. Now it's just yard work when it's past due to be done. Since he was not working or bringing in enough to cover his part of the bills, I asked him to help around the house to help me, which has not happened.
Okay, I'm going to pause you.
Okay.
There's obviously another side to this. We know there's another side to this because of the way that he views things, and somewhere in the middle is the truth of all of this.
Right.
Everything that she has laid out, he is using her to survive. That's it. The intimacy is gone. They're in the roommate phase. He's moved into another room. He's not helping around the house. She has to take care of everything, and he won't pick up the slack. He's not working a real job. He's not trying to build a business. She's not being his supporter. She is being his supporter, right? Like two different supporters there.
It's like she's renting a room out to him.
Right. And then
she's paying everything
and then
else.
paying for him. Right. So that is a transactional relationship where he's not leaving because it would destroy his life to do so.
Yeah, it would remove his current comforts.
Yeah. Yep. And he's taking advantage of her in the process. Okay.
Back into the email, when I asked him about this, it was bitching or I was being ignored. He used to say...
Hang on, I got to pause you again there too. There is a very real thing with women nagging, right? And every man will say that they've had women who just fucking complain because it's easier to get attention than it is to get help. Right? Like, well, what's wrong with you? I don't know. I don't want to talk about it, right? Or you're getting ready to go somewhere and an argument breaks out. That's a very real thing. In a scenario where you are asking your person for help, if their response is all you're doing is bitching at me, they're either not understanding what you're asking them, you're not being clear, could be a possibility as well. But if you allow that to become you are bitching, eventually that's exactly what you're going to be doing because you hear, well, if I'm going to be told I'm being a bitch, I'm going to be a bitch. That's a very real thing for a lot of fucking people. To hear that when you are trying to express your needs and wants to somebody that is supposed to love you and they get defensive and call you names and say that you're just bitching and complaining, you really need to step back and look at what they're telling you. They don't want to hear it.
Right.
They don't care enough about you to change them to make sure that your relationship is functional.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, we said all the time in season 1 that communication is 80 to 85% nonverbal, 80 to 90% nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
You need to learn to read between the lines when someone says something. And that doesn't mean to assume and then just take that as word.
Right.
But listen to what's being said, process it, and then address it accordingly.
I would also evaluate actions versus their words.
That's part of communication.
Yeah.
Show me. Yeah, I need to see what you're doing because you saying something doesn't mean shit to me.
Mm-hmm.
But he's telling her everything that she needs to know just in his actions and what he's telling her based off of what she's telling us.
Right.
So is she actually a nagging woman? I have no idea.
Who knows?
But that sounded very fucking wrong to me. I come to him with what's going on, and all he does is get irate and say that I'm nagging and bitching. You feel guilty, bro? Like, you're getting defensive because you feel guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you did something. Or it's trauma response. But,
yeah.
or learned behavior. Maybe you train them to do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's my challenge for everybody for this month, right? For the month of January. What's left of it. Actually, we'll do it for February. For the month of February, men. If your woman comes to you with something and you feel the need to defend yourself, before you say anything, stop and go, why do I feel I need to defend myself?
Mm-hmm.
Did she teach me to respond this way? Is this a baggage statement from the past? Or am I actually fucking up? Evaluate that, figure out your story, and then move forward and how to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, I want you to do the same shit, but men, I'm talking to you because I'm a man. How about that? It's my challenge for you motherfuckers in February.
I expect the ladies to do that too.
There you go. Podcast challenge. We should do that this year.
Okay.
Monthly
like a monthly
challenges.
podcast challenge?
Yep.
Word.
And we'll release it before the month. So that's February's.
Back into the email?
Yes.
He used to say, if you don't like it, there's the front door.
Telling you everything you need to know. He's okay with your departure.
Mm-hmm. You said that to me once. One time.
Yep. In the courting. We were in the beginning of our dating phase. Absolutely, I did. Yeah. Yep.
And I want to say it was like a week or so later, you came back and you apologized for it.
I did. Do you know why I came back and apologized for it?
Because from what I recall, you never want me to feel like I'm an option to you.
Yep. Because in my past life, I was the guy that constantly joked about divorce. Mm-hmm. Constantly. And I didn't realize how bad that affected somebody until I had a conversation about it and realized that when you plant that seed, that fear will always be there. I don't want that. I don't want you to ever question my loyalty to you or my intent or my willingness to work through things, even if I do get defensive. Even if I full on trauma response and melt down, I want to come back and be like, okay, that was wrong. I handled that poorly. Let's work through this so that this doesn't happen again. And this is why I responded the way that I did.
Right.
Because that's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
All of it. The choice to respond versus react is a choice. In the moment, if I react and I allow that reaction to go unchecked and I don't grow from it and I don't analyze it and I'm not willing to have the conversation with you afterwards, that's also a choice. Mm-hmm. That's also a choice in choosing to live with that reaction versus responding. Mm-hmm. Because in responding to the reaction, that is me responding to that situation.
Right.
It's just a delay. Mm-hmm. I had to run that yellow light to. Yeah. I don't. Oh man.
What?
That whole thing, like hearing that, because I was that guy. You don't like it, leave. I don't fucking need you. Mm-hmm. Like I've lived my entire life on my own. I can do this without anyone. Mm-hmm. I would say that shit all the fucking time. All the time. And hearing that played back, that sucks. It's a horrible thing to hear. I'm gonna go as far as to say, and I'm not gonna name anyone, but I had a conversation within the last week with someone who said that his woman used to make him breakfast every morning before he went to work. She was a stay-at-home, he was a worker. Mm-hmm. And he woke up one morning and told her, I don't need you to do this for me. I'm an adult. And then one night when he came home from work and dinner was made, he's like, look, you don't need to make my food. I can cook for myself. I'm a fucking adult. Don't do my laundry. Don't do any of that shit. And I heard him say that, and I was like, you realize that you literally just told your woman, and all of those for instances, that you don't need her. Like, you're not a team. You don't want her around. Like, you don't want her to help and be a supporter and a partner. Bro, that sucks. Like, if somebody did that to you, it would devastate you because you want to be there. Like, we want to provide. We want to, and women provide. You may not provide financially in terms of like our life, what you do now because of the podcast, but like my job of provision is very different than yours. As a man, my job is to get it in the house. Your job is to get it to the table, right? Easy scenario. You are supposed to provide support, nourishment, a crutch when I need it, right? Like, we have roles that go beyond chores in terms of pink jobs and blue jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear somebody say that and then to have that come up in that email, you are telling your person, if you're not, I don't care if you leave. Like, I don't give a shit if you walk out that door. That's what that says to me.
Right. How can you claim to love somebody and still have that mindset?
That is your abandonment.
Yeah, it is.
I can do this without you. So if you want to go ahead, kick rocks, bro. Be gone. Beat feet. Use those Chevrolets or Lamborghinis and move the fuck on. Like, I don't know. There's growth in that. I really hope that if any of you that do that shit hear this, like, I want you to realize what you're doing to your person when you say those things. You are telling them that they're not needed, that they're not wanted, they're not valued, they are not an asset to you, they are nothing more than a placeholder. They are here because it is convenient for them to be here. Mm-hmm. There's no teamwork in that.
Right. Back into the email?
Yeah.
I've tried talking to my partner about how I feel about our relationship. We used to do things together, and now I do everything alone. When I talk to him, he tells me he is the way he is, and he is not going to change. We don't have a physical or emotional connection anymore.
Why are you here still?
Right. These people are engaged.
Yeah, but it's not nothing's coming from it.
Right, no, but these people are engaged. And they can go to the courthouse and get government married and be married and still live this way. And that would be their marriage. That's crazy. Engagement, the title means absolutely nothing when your relationship does not reflect what happiness is.
I would rather have a happy relationship and no title.
Yeah.
Real shit. Like, I would rather exist with somebody in pure fucking bliss than live like that.
Me too. Back into the email. I myself have a mental health issue that I really have worked on in this past year. And I got back on my medication and now no, this is not something I feel because I've been in depression. When my partner and I first started dating, I was upfront with him about my depression. He has made comments to me, let me not say something about this or you'll get all depressed. And I have pointed out to him that it does not help, and even though he might not understand how I'm feeling, he should try to support me.
How old did she say he was?
He is 34.
Wow. Okay, so this is intentional abuse.
This is, yes.
Okay.
If you cannot handle being with someone who has mental illness, don't date them. It's not cute. We're not a little chihuahua that you can carry around in your purse. Mental illness is something that a lot of people struggle with. And this is where that like nearsighted shit comes in with the dating phase.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm lusting and everything is super dope and we're having fun and I'm not seeing them every day. So I really don't know what they're struggling with their mental illness, but I like these little blips of them in my life.
Yeah. There's an attachment there on her part to still be there with him. Mm-hmm. There's a hope, right? She's living on hopium.
She is.
She's addicted to the idea of what they had at one point. Mm-hmm. This is not, I gotta be honest, this is not something this is an abusive situation. Yeah, I believe that.
I wouldn't be a part of this.
Yeah. Sorry about the interruption, guys. There are people here right now that are getting ready to start putting trim up around some of the windows. So we're going to proceed, but if it gets loud, we may have to stop.
Yep. I'm tired of doing things alone, and now I just feel alone in our relationship. I'm paying all the bills by myself, going shopping by myself, and my family gatherings or events by myself. He tells me because he does not feel like going anywhere, but if it has something to do with his family or friends, he is willing to go, no questions asked. Even if he turned around and was like, yeah, babe, let's get married, and nothing changes, would you want this?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
Right? Like, oh.
It's real easy to see this shit from the outside looking in and lived experiences. He's done with all of this. He's there solely out of convenience.
Yes. It sucks to be on the receiving end of someone falling out of love with you. Was it ever love in the first place, though? You know,
it could have been.
A version of love. I mean, love is different with everybody.
Yeah, but I do believe that people can fall out of love. I believe love is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's work.
Right. Was it ever love, or were you guys just lusting?
Yeah.
Were you guys satiating needs in one another, and then you're like, all right, this is the next step.
Yeah.
This might have been more real for her than it was for him, and he's finally recognizing, like, I can't do this shit.
Yeah. Could be.
There's a lot of what ifs in all of that.
There's definitely a lot of what ifs. Is there more like conversation piece to that? Because we can skip a lot of the gory details and get to, because we are an hour and 20 minutes in, and that guy is here. I don't want to have to stop.
No,
and
there's
come
a couple
back.
more paragraphs.
Okay.
Almost done.
Okay.
He either starts doing things with me, or at least go out to dinner with me every once in a while. He replies that he doesn't have to try to catch what he already has. And I have told him I'm tired of begging to be loved. I don't think I should have to beg to have my partner to live life with me. My love language is gifts and touch. I love making desserts or doing little surprises so my partner loves them. So I have stopped all of those things I enjoy doing for my partner. I don't make the desserts, back rubs or foot, doing the extra mile stuff. I just don't want to do it. Because the person I love doesn't make me feel like I am important. And I don't talk to any of my family about this, but they notice he doesn't go anywhere with me or help me get things done around our home. So my dad has called to see if things have gotten done, and my mom will tell me that she loves me and that I mean the world to her because I've started isolating myself because I don't want them to see that I'm hurting inside because I can't hide my feelings. So you are purposely isolating yourself and are choosing to stay with somebody who doesn't want to be with you.
Yep.
He doesn't have to try to catch what he already has.
Yes, you fucking do. Yes, you do. There is. Okay, this is for guys, right? If you think that your woman is not getting attention from everywhere, you're fucking wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know how easy it is for any woman to walk into a bar and leave with a man, and how hard it is for a man to walk into a bar and leave with a woman? If you think that she can't start posting selfies on the internet and get attention from men and women, you're fucking wrong. Mm-hmm. You need to go above and beyond to make your woman feel like she fucking matters to you, or you will lose her, especially if she's in the ages to 20 to 35, because you guys are in your prime as women from 18 to 30. Mm-hmm. I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that men hit their prime around 38 to 50. Because we have more to offer at that point. We're more emotionally stable. Mm-hmm. We're more financially stable. Like we hit a different season of our life at that point.
Right.
And we can provide women the things that they want better at that age. That whole idea of not chasing what you already have is something that I was guilty of most of my life. I fawn over you constantly. Some of it is intentional. Some of it is just in the moment. But like when I order you an edible arrangement with a Post-it note on it, like, gotcha, bitch. Mm-hmm. That was premeditated. I thought for days, how can I take this note game to another level? And you got flowers from it. Mm-hmm. And when I sing to you, or I make it a point to just have a moment in time where everything just kind of pauses. There's no cleaning, there's no cooking, there's no podcast, there's no kids, there's no dirt bikes. Like 5 seconds of just us, right? That is intentional. Mm-hmm. If you don't give that to your woman, somebody else is going to. And eventually they're going to feel so chewed up and used and thrown away and discarded that when that new attention comes, they're going to feel shiny and new, and they're going to realize they don't have to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And if you think that men are not trying to take what you have, you're fucking wrong. Mm-hmm. And if you don't appreciate it, I promise you someone else will. I fucking promise you someone else will.
Same things goes for women. It takes one woman to look at your man and go, I like your outfit today.
Yeah.
For him to go, oh, fuck, she noticed me.
Yep.
That made me feel good. I'm going to wear this again next week. She liked it.
Mm-hmm. I have seen that change people's entire persona. Mm-hmm. We went to the movies last weekend, and I wore something that I was super uncomfortable in because you were like, I really like the way that looks on you. I'm like, okay, cool. This is what I'm wearing. And I got there and I was like, I'm so fucking uncomfortable right now. And you're like, why'd you wear that? And I was like, because you like it.
I looked at your butt the whole time and your thighs.
Right. But that's one of those things that like those compliments fucking matter to us. Men want to feel like we are more than provision. You think that we don't want emotion and validation and love and all of that shit? You're fucking wrong. We do.
Mm-hmm.
But we feel like we are providers, that we are nothing more than what we can give.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that in the event that we can no longer provide, people are out. People are going to be like, I don't want this. Oh, you're sick and you got lung cancer? Deuces. I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for you to take care of me. I'm not taking care of you. I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's a reality for a lot of fucking dudes. Like, and we all know it. So like all of us, we all fucking know that. So even if we haven't experienced it, we know that that's a very strong possibility, and we will live our entire lives with that in the back of our mind. Well, in the event that I can no longer provide the way that I'm providing, I know that I'm going to lose my wife. I'm going to lose my kids. I'm going to lose my house. Everybody's going to fucking abandon me, and I'm going to die alone. Every man on the planet knows and believes that. Every one of us. It's just the way it is because we've seen it over and over and over again.
That's devastating to me. And I'm thinking about how like the likelihood of you ending up in a wheelchair is. And I'm sitting here thinking like, what can I put behind the wheel so you...
It's just the way it is because we've seen it over and over and over again.
That's devastating to me. And I'm thinking about how like the likelihood of you ending up in a wheelchair is. And I'm sitting here thinking like, what can I put behind the wheel so you can't leave?
You just put an electric motor on it so that I can like do wheelies and dirt
Right,
bike in my
yeah.
wheelchair.
I was thinking more along the ways of like trapping you in one spot so you have to sit there and watch me dance or something.
That's funny.
Do my own Backstreet Boys concert.
Oh, please don't do that to me.
I would never. I would never. No.
That's a very real thing. And it's hard to be a caretaker.
Yeah.
I'm not downplaying that. I understand that it's difficult for a lot of people, but relationships have become so...
Disposable.
Right. This is about me.
There's no meaning to it anymore.
Right.
They're engaged, and an engagement in today's society is a promise to be wed. And that's what you're marrying into?
Yeah.
It's just... I'm thinking of Scooby-Doo when they rip the mask off of something and it's some villain with an ulterior motive. Like marriage today is literally you rip it off and it's just all of society falling apart.
Yep. Societal norms all the time. So I don't have a whole lot more to this. I got to be honest. This is one of those emails where I'm like, you should leave.
I would leave. I would not try to fix any of that. Even if he changed his behavior, in the back of my mind, you were okay saying that to me. And there was no remorse about it. There was no change about it. You put me through that. And I don't know. There's a forgiveness that comes with that. Even if he did change his behaviors and changed who he was as a person and was completely different, are you capable of not harboring the last 3 years of bullshit?
Yeah, I think that people are capable of forgiveness. Absolutely. I think this is one of those scenarios where something needs to come up where he can say that again to her about why should I try to catch what I've already got? And she'd be like, you're right. I'm out. And you can try to pursue me again and we can try to start this over and regain what we had because this ain't it and I don't want this.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I would have a conversation with my mom of don't isolate yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely not the answer.
Do not withdraw into what is killing you. You're becoming a shell of a human being. You need to go to your mom and say, Mom, I know you can see what's going on from the outside. I am miserable. If I packed my shit next week and asked you if I could come stay with you, would you let me? And if she said yes, say, okay, we need to get a plan in place because I don't foresee this getting better and I cannot live the rest of my life like this.
Right. Yep. So then that's the answer. That's where you start, right? Get your backup plan ready and then sit down and have the conversation with your person and be like, this is how our life is right now. I'm not willing to live like this.
This is the life I want.
Right.
Do you want the same thing?
And if you're not willing to match my energy and efforts, I'm going to find somebody who will because you're not married. You don't owe them anything.
No.
If this was a marriage, it would be a different conversation because you can have a new relationship with the same person. I believe that.
Yeah.
But you don't owe them anything. You're not married. You're in a relationship that's dead end and you're already fucking miserable. Like, yeah, I'm good on that. I would lay all the shit out though, and I would let him know what the problem is and why you feel the way that you feel because it might be an eye opener for him.
Yeah. I would also list off my expectations of a husband and what I am going to do as a wife.
Right.
Like, this is how I want to live my life. This is who I want to be as a wife. And this is what I expect from my husband. And if you want everything I provide for as a wife, but you're not willing to do the husband things, this is not going to happen.
Yeah. This is the problem with people playing house for a long time. Yeah. They need to have a really long discussion, and then she needs to break it off if the change doesn't happen in like a 30-day span.
My ex-husband and I are better as friends than we were married.
Good point. Good fucking point. Not everybody's meant to be together.
Yeah. I think he's a funny person. He brings a different perspective to things. He's very knowledgeable. He's also a gamer, and that's not me. I pursued that knowing that he was a full-fledged gamer, and I'd rather be out in nature. That quality time will not be there.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yep, not everybody's meant to be together. This is why you have friend groups that are so diverse. You have one person that could be a nerd and one person that could be a gangster. And you could be friends equally with both of them because you get different needs from them. You have relationships to fulfill needs.
Right. The only thing that you get from a monogamous romantic relationship that you don't get from your best friends is intimacy and sex.
Right.
That's the only thing that differentiates it.
There are different needs being fulfilled from different relationships, but if you're only friends with them because they fulfill that need, it is a transactional relationship.
Yeah, if you're not appreciative of who they are as a person and are there with them when they need empathy or care about the goings on in their life or are willing to give unbiased opinions that don't benefit you.
Right. Without fear. Because if you give a unbiased opinion, or you even give your biased opinion, and it creates conflict between the two of you, and you guys can't just be friends afterwards, it's not a relationship. It's not friendship. It's fake.
Yeah.
It's transactional. You're fulfilling a need, or they're getting something, or you're getting something from each other, and that's okay too. You don't have to be friends with everybody. You can be an acquaintance and be like, I disagree with you, and that's cool.
You don't have to like everybody.
Yep.
There are people I look at, I'm like, I don't like you purely based on your character. That doesn't mean I'm going to bash you. I'm not going to talk shit about you. Someone brings you up while I'm in the room.
Neat.
Cool dude.
Yep.
I like his art.
Yeah, I do that. I've gotten to that point where I don't badmouth.
Yeah.
I always just give a compliment about the person and move right the fuck past it because I don't want to be engaged in that. So.
And if people want to try to have that back and forth, oh, well, so-and-so said this and this, and then they brought you into it. Oh, well, that's wild. I don't care. I'm not having these conversations with you going forward.
Yep.
I have other more fulfilling things in my life to worry about. I hate that they're going through that, though, and I hope that their life gets better.
Yep, I'll pray for them.
Yep.
They're starting to use the air gun out there, so let's wrap it up.
Okay.
All right, guys, with that being said, remember you are the authors of your own life.
So grab a pen.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.